All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, generals and admirals. This is General Johnny coming at you once again with another battle analysis. So this is, I think, number 5 or 6 of this series, but we do have a special twist and surprise later on in the episode that we will get to in a moment here. And for everybody that saw the teaser trailer picture this morning of this release, I want to hear in the comments if this is anything of what you had in mind. Obviously, the title of this video, the battle across the Red Dry Creek, okay, obviously gives a little bit of foreshadowing of what all you can expect across this line battle today, but there's more of a surprise to follow after a quick word. For those who are just now joining the channel, again, my name is General Johnny, where I give real-time strategy tips to real-time strategy games and players out there. And for other people that just want to kick back, relax, and enjoy the great visual and audio experience of this beautiful game, NTW3, and see the chess match between these two teams, again, you have, my friend, also found yourself in the right place. So again, like and subscribe, comment for future content so that I can push it out to you guys and really tailor this whole entire channel and this whole entire experience to what you guys really want. Again, General Johnny strategy, and without further ado, we'll go ahead and get this thing kicked off. So first off, this is our first historical battle, and this is the battle 1799 that took place in Stockach. Okay, so here we are in 1799 in Stockach, or right outside of Stockach, and this is going to be a battle between the French Imperial and the Second Coalition. All right, and in a second here we'll go through each side, but now for the surprise and the key twist in this game. This is actually a clan battle submitted to me by Håkon Deutschmeister. Alright, this is a battle between Håkon Deutschmeister and La Panache. Alright, they're two clans that battle together quite often on NTW3 Lords. I know they have a league there, so this is that battle, and with that we're gonna see a little bit more organization, a little bit more I'd say fighting, and a little bit more teamwork unfold here. It'll be great. This is definitely a different skill level and skill set, so give us another perspective of what kind of players we have out here, and I'll just spoil it right now. They both do a great, fine job, but there is only one victor. So yes, we will be commenting on the good, bad, and in between, which there's not a whole lot of bad, but obviously there's going to be a lot of good line battle, especially in this one, and I'm really excited to get this one kicked off. So real quick, we'll go through the team. So again, this is the coalition. On the coalition side, we have mostly Austrians. So on the far left flank, we have 10-point Milas. You can see the battle comp as I go through this, mostly line here. I think they do have some 3-pound artillery as well. Then we have 6-point Rosplauen. Okay, he's going to be in the center, and that is a pretty good army. I actually really like 6-point Rosplauen. They are a very good army. And then we have the only Russian here, and I'm going to butcher some of these names, especially the French, but Suvorov, he is going to be the lonely Russian in this battle, so some big expectations from the Russian. And then on the far right flank, we have Cesare. Okay, that is going to be the Austrian, and it looks like he brought Cavcor, which looking pretty solid there across the Austrian cav here. Okay, so it looks like they, yeah, like I said, cav core, and it looks like all of these are C4. So very interesting build from there. It looks like they do have some line back here, but mostly a C4 cav build. So they do some very interesting things here with the cab build, and we'll mention it many times throughout this video, why I think that's actually a pretty good idea. And take note of the deployment area as far as relative to everybody else. Right now they're just deploying, and look, this is the organization I'm talking about. Look at that organized columns that they're using across all of the armies, and very good, I think, beginning. And even these Russians just taking the road, very effective, really speed. I mean, they are moving, they are moving there. So very effective here. And as the Austrians push up the cav even further, and really what they're going to end up doing here is they're going to get a bird eye view of the enemy, the French enemy. So speaking of the French Imperial, let's go through them real quick. Again, I'm gonna butcher some of these names, but this is a historical battle, so I'll try doing them justice. Okay, over on the Imperial side, we have Giovanni Sanciere. Okay, Giovanni Sanciere. So that's going to be an 8-pointer, followed by Le Coubre. That's going to be a 9-pointer, followed by Bonaparte. Everybody knows Bonaparte, Napoleon Bonaparte. Or I wonder if it was his brother, but I'm pretty sure it's Napoleon himself. 12-pointer on the French Imperial side, and then Decisive. So Decisive is going to be a 6-pointer on that side of the Imperial. So without further ado, let's check this out. It looks like they're eyeing each other down over here with each other's cav. I'm not sure they're actually going to have much of a fight or anything here, but we're still waiting to see what kind of unfolds here. Very good though, deployment, as I said, and I'm actually going to speed up this part just a little bit so that we can get into the action a little bit quicker here. Okay, as you can see, the Austrian cav is really pushing forward here. They've really been the only army to actually get into some sort of contact. They haven't actually completed a charge, but they are running off this French cavalry. And as they expose the entirety of this French army, that is some really good scouting. And this is really the perfect example of how they're using their numerical cavalry advantage to scout out the enemy and get that information. At this point, I'm counting unit types and, you know, looking at the different uniforms and really figuring out which units are which and seeing what they all brought to bear to fight. And at this point, I am thinking about charging into this line, but I don't think that, especially in an organized, competitive, and ranked gameplay like this, that it would be very smart to just kind of take that gamble, especially when there's probably squares, a lot of infantry. Yeah, you'll get some good kills, but especially with the light cav, it's not going to have a great charge bonus. Alright, and then you're also going to have to fend off all this other cav, and you also don't know what other kind of support the rest of the French have to bear while the rest of your armies are still marching in. So I don't think it's a great idea to necessarily charge at this point, but we'll see if they decide to pick them off at all. You can see this army, or this unit here, is kind of detaching from the army to establish kind of a guard. I'm sure this unit can square, so that's what that's all about. And you can hear the rest of the Frenchmen over here as well, so they do have some forces advancing, and just based off their generals, you can kind of see where they lay across the landscape. And all across this, it looks like they really want to, at least the Austrians want to move more eastward, I guess is what it would be, or westward. This would be more west. Okay, but yeah, so I think that the French are going to line up along that line. It looks like they're kind of foregoing this area. As you can see, the Austrians are keeping their rear guard still present, just to make sure they don't get flanked. But it doesn't really look like the French are over there. It looks like the French are mainly over here, concerned about possibly, and you can see they occupy this building, but they're possibly concerned about this Austrian cav, as we see here. And yeah, things are really starting to shape up with the rest of this, and it looks like the French have even gotten a position on this hilltop, and so they've really pushed their hand forward here. I really thought, you know, they probably do have some of these woods here, and I really thought they would be a little bit further back, but they probably want to let all their guys have a chance to get back in. And let's see what else happens here. They are pushing quite boldly up here with their cav all across into this army here. So I mean, this is a little bit bold. Alright, so yes, there we go, the gunshots. Alright, so I don't know if that was a great idea. They are going to get off. I mean, they're not even fully formed, and they are just ripping into their cavalry, and they break. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is 85 figures out of 112. I mean, that is not great, and you can see they send in this cav to kind of distract their fire, but they do break. That unit will most likely come back, so not terrible, but definitely not a great exchange for the Austrians. And it looks like they have a potential to overextend here a little bit. Yep, I think he's kind of pulling back. He might have gotten a little bit ambitious, but hey, this is good. They are contesting. You don't want to, even if you're not going to charge, and I mean, you're proving the point that you are going to charge, and it did look like that unit did come back. You're proving a point to the enemy that you are willing to charge, and here we go again. They are charging again. Okay, no. Yeah, you're just proving a point that you have superior cav presence over here, and really just pressing that. You're trying not to lose too much. Obviously, anything that he does, he's not going to sacrifice any units. He's quickly in and out, pulling them in and out just to contest their deployment, because that's obviously going to wear down on the enemy, right? It's going to stress their micro. It's going to test them out. You're going to obviously have the scouts. You're going to see what kind of cav they're countering you with, and you're just going to test their capabilities, figure out, gather more information. All right, now I know this unit squares. Now I know how many cav this army has. I mean, this is all great information they're gathering just passively, or really actively, by doing that. And I hear another charge going off, and let's look. It might just be a feint is what I like to call it, because that's what it really is, and it's not. I mean, there you go, and you catch them in a mistake. So here we go. We are taking out, we might take out this entire unit, but then again, these guys can square, and they're going to rip off. They're going to at least get some volleys into the side of this Austrian cav, and you can tell they cannot decide whether they want to keep this attack or they want to run away, because they see the counter charge coming, and they do decide to back up, and yet they are about to break. It does look like they're receiving a lot of shots, but their morale does recover. They're not able to rout that small unit, but at the end of the day, don't know if that's a great exchange, but you know, at least they did get a good charge off and killed some of that some of that infantry, definitely. And it looks like over here he might have lost a little bit management of his micro, but not too bad. I don't think anybody actually died, so just a fine maneuver over there. And really, again, this is it. So possibly what Austria, or 10-point Austria over here, what they're doing is they are tying them up. They are contesting. They are slowing down this deployment so that the Russians can get into place along this nice tree line. Okay, set up their cav in the tree line. I love how this is like a rolling hill. It's almost like a oh my gosh. Yeah, this is a reverse slope defense if they set up here, which I think they do later in the battle, but yeah, I do love how it's like a reverse slope, and then you have another reverse slope, so it's really cool rolling terrain that provides like a lot of tactical advantage either way, you know, as he set up. So it looks like they're pushing pretty hard, but okay, so they are retreating a little bit. I'm sure there's some communication going on in VC, just about like, hey, you guys, this is they're gonna stay over there, so we're gonna draw back. Okay, let's check out the rest of these armies and see if they're positioning. So, all right, they're just continue their movement. What great micro here with the deployment. That is so organized, taking the road, really, really, you know, minimizing the amount of time that those forces are going to get into battle. And it's just such a great great thing to see how organized these armies really are, and really good performance from both of these sides, as you will see very shortly from now. Alright, so it looks like they are backing up a bit. Okay, and it looks like they're even pounding them a little bit with artillery. I'm not sure how good. I mean, that might be, yeah, I don't know what they're firing at, to be quite honest. I have no idea what they're firing at, unless there's a unit in that building. I don't think there is, but yeah, that's very interesting. Oh, it does look like they were shooting at that building, 100% shooting at that building. So I don't know, maybe he that just enough, just in case for later. Obviously this is LOC, so they do have to get the majority of the points. Alright, so with that being said, yeah, I'm not so sure what they're gonna do, because they're not gonna destroy this building, obviously. That would lose them the points essentially. But yeah, they are firing. He might not even know that at this point. But we'll continue our analysis on the rest of this battle. It looks like the right flank is playing around a little bit with this cav, and something I'll mention, and this is a great strategy point, is it is always, if you're playing with an organized team like this, have a cav corps. The reason being, as every NTW3 player knows, it is so hard to micro the cav, and it looks like they might have repelled a countercharge or a charge over there. I'm not sure, we might have missed it. I don't think anybody really died. I don't see any figures on the ground, any dead bodies on the ground. But yeah, it looks like they're really tearing up that building for some reason. But yeah, so if you have a dedicated cav corps, you're obviously going to have you know, less strain on everybody's micro because this one player, and for you guys all played, cav is really hard to micro. Not hard, it takes a lot of attention, and you don't want to lose it. It's very fickle at times, and oh my goodness, what are they doing? Are they going into the saloon? What? They're just glitching out over here with that infantry unit. I've never seen that happen, but it's not a surprise. This game is a little bit dated at this point, but still really fun to play and watch. Alright, yep, he's still pounding that house there. Okay, that's so funny what that infantry is doing. Let's see if they're setting up any guns across here. Let's see if we have visual on any French guns, and it does look like they've set up a 2-gun battery here, although one of them is facing the wrong direction. Might want to turn that gun around so that you can get some good fire, get some volleys off of that cannon, and we'll see. But oh my goodness, this is a great position for Austria. Keep in mind, yes, only 3-pounders, but with the range, I mean, this is really perfect range for these guns, in my opinion. Really, all you have to do is be able to shoot from here to there. It's not like you have to reach 600 meters across the map or anything like that. That is something important when you're picking your artillery. Know where you're planning generally to deploy this artillery, because that's really going to determine, do I need to shoot 600 meters or can I get away with 250? Because 250 meters works out perfectly here, which I'm not sure the exact specs on that, but that sounds about right. 250 meters, and you can reach all the way across this field, and obviously there you go, you're already killing some of their cav and possibly affecting that line as well, and as that shoots, it will become more and more of a problem. So definitely love that position. And then here we go, we have the Austrian 10-point Milas line setting up, and I really like this anchored down position they have here with the backup line. I mean, this is a heavily defended hill, and honestly, I'm not sure what the French are going to set up here, but I really like the way Austria is setting up their very defensible position, especially the way they have it laid out. But it does look like the French are pushing up, and they're really pushing up. Oh my goodness. So yeah, the Russians have retreated here, and or not really retreated, but they've just displaced backwards. All right, so there is a difference, and they're displacing back, and it looks like they don't end up utilizing this terrain, obviously maybe because they don't want to get caught from the side fire from the woods. Very good points, but it looks like they are just biding time, giving up plenty of ground, which at this point I don't necessarily know why. Maybe it's because they're waiting on 6-point Royce Plowin to get across the battlefield to possibly this right flank to really bolster up that right flank, since it is a cav corps over there. So possibly that is why they decided to bring that unit all the way over there. Possibly not. And that's why probably they're kind of giving up this space, and again trading that maneuver space for time, which is a very common theme. And as you guys, I would like to point this out. So they probably knew, again, well, they definitely knew where their deployment was on this map, and they probably told 10-point Austria, right, to set up that cav and take this deployment position so that they could instantly get a view on their army and kind of harass them with the cav. And then they're like, hey, well, you'll bide us some time while we set up the rest of our line. So that's probably you know, what their mindset was. And for the players that actually played in this map, you can always like and comment and just let us know what you're thinking, or your strategic mindset in giving up this much ground. Because I mean, look how close they are to the border. I mean, that is it right there. So yeah, definitely an interesting. And look, here we have, and this is the okay. Well, this is the danger of retreating back or falling back, displacing back, whatever you want to call it. You can get harassed by cav yourself, but since you have this cav corps covering your tail, I mean, oh, and here we go. We have some of the first shots over here, some major shots, and we have the occupation of this building, which is now at 50%, probably a tactical destruction of that building down to 50%. But they do get some fire or some volleys off, and I can see some dead Frenchmen along the ground. And that countercharge also took out that unit, but they're coming back now. But yeah, look at this scenery. I love the awesome effects, the visual effects of this. The French just marching across the open field in all sorts of columns and rank and file over these hills into the Austrian horde, which is right past them. I love it. It looks amazing, and I'm very pleased about the way this is unfolding. Even though we haven't gotten into the nitty-gritty of the battle, I promise it is not far away. Things are really going to start kicking off here soon. And exactly here, they are getting battered. The 3-pounders are. That is probably a little bit heavier artillery on that hilltop. Not sure what they have. I'm sure we'll find out soon. And here we go. Here's some more volleys going into the Russian line. And they do return a volley, though, so they take a volley and they return a volley. And this is great. This is called bounding back. So you have one element that wants to shoot or one element that wants to bound back. You're obviously covering each other as you do that. Okay, you never move 2 units at once unless in desperate situations. You always want someone covering your tail, as they say. And they do have this nice little piece of defilade, so they took that shot and then they fell back over the defilade, and that was a great maneuver by the Russians, still giving up more and more space. And I'm not sure why. Maybe the Austrians aren't quite where they need to be. All right, maybe Royce Plowin still needs to set up. He was a little bit further in the deployment, so definitely might be part of the reason. And here we go. They are ripping some shots. Oh yeah, beautiful volleys there into the Frenchmen that lay upon this rolling plain of hills. I love it, and it looks great. And here is the infamous Red Dry Creek, or Dry Red Creek, and it's not red now, but a little bit of foreshadowing of why we're gonna call it that. But it does run the complete length of this battle line, or mostly the complete length of this battle line, and we'll see how this unfolds with some beautiful shots coming from both sides. Honestly, it looks like the French might get a good shot off on their backs here. Maybe not. They're skirmishing on both sides all across this line, and there you go. They do take a few shots and probably more than a few casualties off of these volleys, which are just relentless right now. I mean, this is the greatest shoot and maneuver maybe not the greatest, but very, very, very well done. Very, very well done. And here we go. What a beautiful sight. All of the smoke. I mean, they pretty much create their own smoke screen with all this gunpowder that's just going off. Hundreds of guns just going off at each other. And it looks like the Austrians are going to push or this is 10-point Milos, and it looks like they do sense that they have them outnumbered right here, but not so out here. And I don't know if that's a great idea, because they're going to start crashing down this flank as well. So we'll see how this turns out over there, but it looks like they are still giving up ground. I don't know when. They do not have much space left, so either way they're gonna have to turn around and fight eventually. There is no way they can keep retreating like that. And you know, possibly, oh my goodness, this is gorgeous. And they're firing into that building. Definitely not going to be super effective firing into that building. Yeah, they're still 135, and they're probably taking casualties. The buildings are very powerful in this game, so probably not going to get much. But they do charge. They do charge the Austrian infantry, and they are really having some effects here. They have them in this nice little creek bed, right? And they are just pounding them right now. They are absolutely pounding them. This is not going to be good for the Austrians if they cannot get out of here. It does look like they are getting some shots off, though. French really need to be careful with that cav. I don't know how much of it they have, considering Austria bought their whole entire cav corps. But they are really, really making this difficult. This is going to be a difficult mosh pit down here. I mean, if they keep this up, they could possibly entrap this whole entire flank over there. And meanwhile, this battle is fully underway. A full line just absolutely unloading into each other, and they are getting absolutely pelted here. I don't know what the Austrians are gonna do. This might be it. I would not want to be in this creek bed at this point. They are charging now even, and I mean, the Austrians will absolutely regret this if they start to rout. But it looks like the French are also not doing too hot on that right or left flank of that creek bed, so we'll see. And it looks like Austria is actually pushing the French back across the main line, but let's see really what's going down here. Just chaos, just absolute chaos, and they're getting volleys off. People are dying. It is an amazing sight right now to witness across this entire battlescape. I mean, and the French are just cycling in and out that cav. I mean, it is crazy right now. And it looks like a lot of their men are running away, as we were just informed. So we'll have to see what the Austrians decide to do. I'm sure they're communicating what's going on in their respective lanes. But this is not... I mean, they might have recovered a little bit here, and if they can fight off this cav, they might recover there as well. But you can see 3, 4, 5 units are withdrawing. Not much from the French. Alright, just checking out on the left flank, and they do have some French cav around here. It looks like they got around the flank, and they are going to take out those 3-pounders. Ah, my goodness, this is not great for the Austrians, and they do completely. I'm sure that's going to be taken out. Yes, they did get that, but they are going to countercharge, but they might even get away. So let's check out in the creek bed what that battle is looking like more. We did get an update on that left side, so not great for the Austrians, but it looks like they are inflicting some damages here, but the French are deciding to mount a counterattack up the side of the open side, largely open side of this hilltop. So I'm not sure if they're going to be able to hold this, but it looks like the rest of the line is advancing steadily. So we will have to see what is going on here, and the bodies are really starting to pile up here. I mean, this is not great for the Austrians, and it looks like the French are charging over here a little bit. I'm not sure if they're gonna actually get that much more benefit. They took out those 3-pounders, so really I think that's all they had to accomplish for now, and it looks like things are starting to stabilize a little bit more. We'll see. And the rest of the line is advancing forward, so we'll really just have to wait and see what all is going on. It looks like with that now cannon superiority on that left flank. The left flank of the Austrians are going to have to move. They can't just keep taking those uncontested shots. And it looks like this line infantry, I mean, they are outnumbered here. It looks like they are putting a number on that French line infantry, but they're not going to be able to sustain that for long. So they're going to have to figure something out there. It looks like they did stabilize here a bit better, but I don't know if they win that battle long term. So, and it looks like the left flank is really pushing there too. So I'm not so sure, guys. This is a very interesting battle. They are sending some French cav through the woods to probably see what lays beyond this this hill crest, because I mean, they're not so sure right now what is exactly in store for them across there. So, but it looks like they are creeping up slowly. You can see on the left flank with mostly everything they've got. And the Austrians and Russians are really pushing along this line. And let's go check that out real quick, just because this is some awesome line firing right here. And this is one epic line battle. We are just absolutely getting some crazy volleys and some crazy line battle going on over here across all sides, and it looks like the French are going to push up there a little bit more. We'll keep an eye on the center of this battle as well, and across the Red Dry Creek. And they are pushing this left flank, but it also looks like the Russians are charging into the French line. Oh my goodness, is that going to be a good idea? I mean, they did charge in an uncontested volley, so they did not get a volley off before, but it looks like they are in melee. They are in melee, and it is about even. One side on the French and one side on the Russians, and they are sending everything they have here. They are sending their cabin, they are sending their infantry and closing the distance, and it looks like the French might be losing this slightly. They do get off a volley, but look at that line battle. Look at the charge, the absolute chaos that's unfolding here. Oh my goodness, this is absolute chaos, and it looks like the French are kind of faltering here. I mean, I'm not so sure. They are breaking right now a lot more than I thought that they would just in the start. They have their general there. It should be inspiring their units, but it might just be too much of this Russian and Austrians that are really breaking through, and cavalry coming in to resupport or really shore up this line. And you can see they are just closing the distance in every single place. And the French are absolutely breaking at this point. They are absolutely breaking. And further down the Red Dry Creek, it looks like this flank is now pretty established on this hilltop. So if the French want to make any gains over here, they gotta have to make that quick, because the entire middle of this entire bulge, and this is what we call a penetration through frontal attack. They have completely penetrated and decimated the French line, and this bulge is really going to affect them, because as this bulge gets wider and wider, as they span out to the right and left of it, and as you can see, these are the retreating Frenchmen, the Imperial forces, and the Austrians are pushing through very, very strong. So with that, you have effectively split this army in half, and I really don't know if the French at this point are going to be able to recover unless their forces return en masse across this tree line and they mount another attack. Really, they'd probably have to go on the defense, and they have to produce more than what they are here. This is a stalemate, and their general is dead. Oh my goodness, I don't even know where exactly that's happening. It's somewhere across this battlefield. I think that it might have happened here, but they just penetrated into the French line, and whenever that happens, you're gonna get things like dead generals on the ground after such a decisive penetration. And this unit is getting torn up, and we're adding some more bodies, not really to the creek now, but right outside and along that creek bed. we are getting some more casualties, and they're really just laying down on the hate. And if I was the Austrians, I would be sending in a little bit more cav. It looks like they have more free roam here, so they could be really pursuing some of these forces, but maybe they just don't want to because they want to hold their advantage. They don't want to overextend, which I can respect that mindset too. But it looks like we are having a good battle here across the hilltop, and there you go. Those are those cannons. Those are those 3-pounders. Still very, very, very loud. Oh my goodness. And it looks like they have very minimum troops over there, but they are splitting this force in half, and the French are trying to mount a counterattack. But at this point, I don't know if they have enough supporting units to really do it. They just broke there. They are losing men in every direction, and this is a stalemate across the top. I mean, yes, the Austrians are probably losing a little bit more as far as personnel here, but they are not going to, the French are not going to be able to hold this position, which is why they're falling back now. And they are just getting decimated across this line with Austrian cav roaming free across the backside of their flanks and just using those gaps to penetrate further and further into these lines. The Frenchmen have finally fallen back off of this hill. That was a hard fought defeat on top of that hill. I mean, they were not outright destroyed, but at this point you got to be thinking they fought there. Look how many bodies. The Austrians, I think, took more casualties in this creek bed than the Frenchmen did, but such a hard fought battle for this hill, and yet they are still retreating. And it looks like even across the woods they're retreating. They're gonna lose their lights there. And across this left flank, all right, this is going to be an Austrian victory on this side as well, except they have grabbed that building, so a small gain for the French. And on the right flank, there's really not much going on. There's a lot of remnants of the French Imperials, but there's not really a whole lot going on. Most of the action is taking place across this hilltop as the French try to back up and try to mount some sort of defense. They do still have some cannons back behind their lines, so maybe they can make something happen. But look at the carnage across the main battle line and right here across that road. I mean, they fought very hard across that open terrain, and again across this mountain and creek bed, or this hill and creek bed. So I mean, this was not an easy fight for either side, but it does look like the Austrians and the Russians, the coalition, are pushing forward, and there are just not enough French because of that ruptured center. But there are some French left, so let's see if they can mount something here. They do have some forces along the Austrian right flank, so they could possibly do it. And it looks like they're attacking some of these retreating forces. This unit is really kind of just like a rear guard for the retreating units, and they're just trying to stave off the advance as long as they can, along with the skirmishers. I wonder if those were the skirmishers that might have survived that cav charge earlier. I'm not sure about the status of those guys, but it does look like this square is going to fall valiantly in that wooded area. And they're going to have to retreat because they did their job in holding them just long enough for the Frenchmen to withdraw. But it does look like they're going to be further contested with some cavalry. I think that the French are in some hot water at this point, some very hot water, and they really need to get back to their wood line. These guys can square, so they are fending off that cav pretty well, or as well as they can. And you can see the Austrians in pursuit of some of the withdrawing or retreating Frenchmen. So this is not looking great. The best case scenario is they occupy this hill and they mount some sort of defense that is going to have to take really all four armies that are still all, I wouldn't say manned great. Like, they don't have great numbers, but probably better numbers than the French at this point, with that mass rout in the middle. So let's see how the French go about this at this point. We'll just have to wait and see. And it looks like this right flank has some troops left over, and they're just kind of harassing the leftover remnants of the Austrians, who are just trying to reconsolidate back to their main lines from fighting out here on the right flank, which is saw less action, and we really didn't look over here and saw it happen. But you can see they probably had some skirmishes over here, but just not as large as what was going on in the center and on top of the hill. And I'm sorry, there's only so much we can cover across this battlefield, but obviously there was fighting across a large front here, a very large front, which was very impressive. And we still have more. These Frenchmen are in the woods in a prepared position, okay, trying to fend off the massive amount of Austrians that are on the horizon through the smoke. I'm not so sure if they can do this, because this is not looking too hot for the Frenchmen. I don't know if they can really hold off. With two skirmishers, they're going to hold off all of this line. I'm sure there's some guys in the woods exposing themselves now, but there's just not enough here that's going to fight off everything here. I think their best chance is to get this flank involved very quickly, to crash down and make some of these units rout and come up and get them from the trail in. But it doesn't even look like they might have a chance, because they're getting charged and these guys are about to break. They don't have enough morale to sustain this, but the French are holding. They do have some cav in reserve, so they are fighting off this cav at this point. But really, at this point, the Austrians don't even need equal trade. They just need to inflict more and more casualties, because the French can only take so much more. The Austrians have way too many units, and you can see the gunfire through the gunpowder and forest. That is just ridiculous. And this is point blank range. I mean, you don't get much closer than this. They are completely surrounded by the Austrians, firing into the hillside. Oh my goodness. The French must be very concerned at this point, as they are getting peppered by bullets. And here comes the cav to make matters even worse for the Frenchmen. They don't even at this point need fair trades. They just need to whittle down their forces. They can't take as many casualties, and at this point they are starting to charge into the deep lines of the Austrians, and that's just not going to cut it. As they retreat further and further back along that ridge line, the French are just trying to make something out of nothing. I mean, this is, at this point, they are not going to be able to fight this. But the cannons are still booming. The cannons are still firing. I would not want to be on the other side of those things. With a very quick reload rate, or fire rate at least, they are switching off cannons and firing into the crowds of Austrians. You can see them reloading and covering the retreat of the Frenchmen with that beautiful artillery. My goodness. But at some point, they've got to be concerned. There is no way they don't understand. And it looks like they do take out a large chunk. That was a little bit of a delayed reaction from those guys, but they do take a good shot with that cannon. Let's see if they can get one more off before they're going to have to switch to grape shot here soon. And this unit is affected by that cannon. I'm not so sure they're going to be able to charge through that as they're getting pelted. But it doesn't really matter at this point. The Austrians are more than happy to break them here. And that man went flying. Oh my goodness. He's a free bird. Oh my goodness. That man just took a leap of faith with a cannonball on his stomach. Oh my goodness. Oh, the poor Frenchmen are having to retreat through their own cannon fire. That is just horrific. Honestly horrific. Let's see if they have another shot in them. Oh yeah, they're taking grape shot now. You can see that, and the effects that they have, even on the absolutely numerical superiority of the Austrians. It doesn't change the fact that they are going to have to take some casualties if they want to win this battle, as they fight uphill to defeat the final remnants of this French army. And it looks like those cannons have caused the withdrawal or the retreat of those Austrians, but they cannot hold out much longer as the Austrians really press the point. And back over here, you guys, you can see the small skirmishes and cav charges that is ensuing here. They just have to mop up the rest of that. But some really great fighting. Some really, I mean, at this point the French are fighting for their lives, not for the battle, not for the glory of the empire, but just to live another day. They cannot withstand this, and at this point this match is all but over. So we're gonna go over at this point. I will zoom in on if we have any more good line battles or anything exciting that I see. We'll keep our eye on it, but at this point we'll just recap real quick, kind of some of the strategy tips and takeaways, some things that did really well, and I didn't see a lot of things that could have been done better, but we will mention a few things as we do a quick strategy recap over this battle of Stockach 1799, historic, with the second coalition against the imperial armies. Okay, this was a great historical battle, but before that, again, remember to like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Again, if you like just going through the battle and looking and seeing it unfold. It is a dynamic chess game, is what this game is all about. But if you also want to learn some real-time strategy tips about the real-time strategy games, also tune in. I'll be releasing way more content in the coming days and weeks and months. I'll post that on YouTube. I keep the community updated, especially with teasers like the ones that we released about this video. But if you have any submissions, please submit them. This was a submission from the clan of Hawk and Deutschmeister as part of the NTW3 Lords server. So that's where I got this submission, and thank you very much for submitting this video. It's some great content and I love covering it. But yeah, the more content you send in, the more videos like this I can provide, and give that entertainment and a little bit of educational value as well as you guys see this battle unfold. But real quick, now we'll go to our strategy tips and recap. So first thing I would like to mention is I really like the dedicated cav corps that the Austrian or the coalition brought. I thought that definitely gave them a element that the French didn't necessarily have. The French didn't bring a cav corps, not that I saw, so they were having to micro and to manage everything all at once, while the Austrians themselves didn't really have to do that. And I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward some of this through the rest of the battle because they're really just going to be mopping up, and they do have this force, but they're going to be mopping up the rest of this real quick. But yeah, so the cav corps was a very good point. I really like that from the coalition. Also, what I really liked is that they fought on their own terms. They used that cav aggressively to harass the deployment, make that difficult until they consolidated their armies. I really appreciated that the coalition side especially consolidated their armies where it made sense, and they chose where they wanted to fight this battle, which was clearly on this backside of this ridge line here across the open field, and using this hill as an anchor point. So correct me if I'm wrong, anybody that was on the Hawk and Deutschmeister clan battle for this, right? If they wanted to draw that French army to basically the right flank of this hill so they could hold this hill, as opposed to them advancing across their open field and into their hill, maybe part of the strategy, I'm not sure, but it might have been a good idea. I mean, they ended up taking the win on this one, so it was a good idea. So again, dedicated Cav Corps, they fought where they wanted to, they used that Cav Corps, very smart moves across there, and I like this anchored position. I also like the fight here. I liked, and one of the biggest things, I think the biggest thing of this game was they used an effective attack that penetrated and split that army in two, and you can see the aftermath here of what that was. So very good maneuver will be my last point on the strategy recap. I think some things that could have been done a little bit better.
This building has fallen to the enemy.
I'm not so sure as far as the French went. I think they had a lot of advantages that they didn't really take advantage of. It seems like they let the Austrians kind of string them along for a prolonged amount of time, and they ended up, again, as the French, you can't prolong this battle. You need to be the one breaking through because you have the less numbers. So the Austrians obviously have a lot of numbers and are going to be able to fight in that battle for longer, especially a line battle like that. But very well performed on both sides. There's not much more than that. Maybe some more advantages could have been taken from each side, but I don't think either one wanted to make a devastating mistake, and it ended out being a good call for the Austrians.
Men are fatigued, sir, and must rest a while.
So at this point, that's everything I have for the strategy recap. Thank you again for joining and tuning in to General Johnny Strategy on YouTube. You guys follow and subscribe for more of this content, and I will see you guys next time very soon in the very soon future. Thank you again. General Johnny signing off.
This building